What's up, guys? It is Friday evening. You know what time it is. It is time to hang with Rick. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Rick Ginn. I am the Rick in Flip with Rick. You guys probably know my son, Zach, and we have this channel to help out as many wholesalers as possible. Number one, get you started in what I think is the greatest business. I'm a little bit biased, but I love wholesaling, and I'm on a mission to get as many people involved as wholesaling so I can show them financial freedom, show them how to free up their time. And if you're open to learning from someone that has 20 years experience, my son has 5, we share it all for free here. So if you don't know what I'm talking, over to freewholesaling.com. We offer the only course that is 100% free. We teach you how to get your first deal and work your way up to your first $100,000. We have thousands and thousands of testimonials of people that do just that. I've never, ever asked anybody from a testimonial in here. It's all organic. We run no paid ads. And if you want to come here, have fun, and learn about wholesaling, you are in the right place. So guys, use the comments. If you have a question, you just want to ask something, this is 100% live. So today is the 16th. It's just after 5 o'clock Eastern time. And if you want to go on a mastermind, there is a link you can click in the comments. I got Ryan, I got Matt, I got Sally, I got Chadrick all set up, and just get in line there, wait patiently. Today, we are going to talk about quality conversations and how to talk to your sellers. And I'm somewhat of an expert on it, but we can all kind of learn it. So I'll probably take the first 20, 25 minutes to do that. And then we go into the lives, and that's it. So you can do the comments, you can do the live, and I love it. So let me see here. I missed something. So I see that. Hey, Justin, you can sit here with your little comments all day long. Honestly, you're picking the wrong battle. If you actually want to learn something, you would pay attention to my son. If you want to be in his financial footsteps, you would be there. Like, your comments like that, we don't have room for haters here. So if you don't want to make a lot of money, you just want to bitch and gripe, go to a guru that you can pay that doesn't do wholesaling. So I have a 7-figure business. If you guys want HUD, you want anything, I'm happy to show it to you here. So Justin, since you've called your name out and put it on there, dude, if you have nothing but, don't watch the stream. We don't care. So honestly, I could care less. Honestly, I wouldn't have a channel. My son, we wouldn't have a channel if we didn't have haters like you. The reality is, people like you have no interest in really making any type of money as a wholesaler. So it's ridiculous, dude. So you need to open up. Telling someone with 25 years experience on how to do wholesaling, dude, laugh. So why don't you put up 15 of your HUDs, and I'll compare them anytime you want. So go away. There's plenty of other wholesaler sites that you can go to that people want to learn bad techniques, and you can do it. So you just can't come on here and throw out any crap like that. So it's ridiculous. So if you guys really want to learn how to wholesaling, you want to work with people that actually do this. And here's the thing is, especially people like Justin, I do this 100% for free because I do wholesaling full time. I make plenty of money. I've been doing it 20 years. I've never had a problem doing deals. I did multiple deals today. Come on, man. Seriously, if you have nothing but negativity to spew, go somewhere else and do it. Honestly, you shouldn't be doing it anywhere. Just work on yourself. You can disagree. I'm fine with it. But honestly, the technique I heard you share is terrible. And that's why we've stopped you from posting in content, because it might work in your market, but for the most part, I've done deals all over this country. It's not going to work. So let's get back. If you want to hate post it, that's fine. I do appreciate you putting your name out there. At least people don't hide on this stuff, but I just think it's funny. So it's up to you guys. If you want to follow people that actually make money in this business and don't make the money on the coaching and flipping students, you're in the right place. If you want to be right, Justin, you don't understand what me and Zach teach. So you have to let your ego go. The only way you can learn from people that are making more money from you is you have to be open and receptive to it. If you want to tell me how to do wholesaling after 20 years, dude, give me some bank account numbers before I'm going to take any of your advice. So that's it on that. So let's get back. Let's get back to wholesaling. I just don't understand, dude. Life is short. I don't hate this guy at all. I don't even know him. But when we know something's not right and we challenge you on it, just understand where we're going with it. So, guys, you know what time it is. We have to get excited. You got to get pumped. You got to have fun doing wholesaling. Let's get the energy back up and we will jump into our teaching and do the lives, guys.
Get the fuck out of bed, bitch. Go. Get up, and get the guy go. Time to wake up, bitch. Get up. Get up. Get up.
All right. So that's the energy we need. So listen, you ain't come on and be a hater. Dude, come on the live. I honestly, come on the live. I'll bring you on. Like, I've already told everyone, you got to check your ego in this business. And if you're not going to take from advice from people that have climbed the journey you're trying to go on and you think you're going to reinvent how it works, I wish you all the best. I can't help you. And that's all I'm going to leave it at. And if you think there's quick shortcuts to wholesaling, you are going to set yourself up for massive failure. So guys, do me a favor, use the comments. You can put in your comments to the side here. Let us know what market you're at. Let us know what you're doing. If you got a question, put it in there. And as it relates to some of the lives we do, I'll pepper that in there. If you like the comment, do me a favor, smash that like button. Give me a heart. Give me a thumbs up. Heck, I don't even care. Give me a frowny face. So I just want to interact with you, and make sure, guys, you hit that subscribe button to continue to receive notifications when we actually go live. We're one of the few people that actually tell you we're live. I don't believe in tricking people. It's just, we're like wasting your time. So I appreciate you guys giving up your time, and let's get into it. So today we are talking about the quality of the conversation. And as I said, I'm going to go through this part and then I'm going to jump into the live. So I see everybody waiting. So there's plenty of room if you still want to hop on. Do not be shy. So quality conversations and how to improve the quality of your conversation. So I'm going to start out with the first thing you need to understand. Every time you guys get on the phone and you're dealing with a seller, you have one goal in mind. You need to qualify and move your lead forward to either an appointment or an offer or both. Now, some of you are doing it virtual and you can adapt how I'm doing the speech, but for simplicity, this is going to relate to virtual and a local market. You have to have a goal. So if your goal is to move that lead along and find out where it is, and by the way, if you get a no from the lead, that means you moved the lead along and you qualified it. The worst thing you can do when working with a lead is get off the phone and not make any type of progress. Okay. Every time you touch a lead, it's got to be in the process of pushing it forward. If you don't, your sales funnel will get completely full and you're going to get stuck. Okay. Not everyone's a good fit for wholesaling. Let me repeat it. Not everyone's a good fit. So you need to understand and push leads forward. Okay. So we got a lot we got to do on these phone conversations, but you have to understand the goal. Okay. To move forward towards an appointment and offer. Okay. So that doesn't mean you can just race through leads and just go through a quick checklist, because if you're monotonous and you don't build rapport and you don't connect with people, you're never going to get to the appointment or the offer phase. So keep that in mind. The goal is literal, but you have to use techniques to get it. Okay. Here's the number one issue. So you guys know that's the goal. The second one is you have to first and foremost identify motivation. Without motivation, you are literally wasting your time. Okay. If there's no motivation on a wholesale deal, you do not have a good lead, and you're probably going to way overpay for it, and it's not going to work. So, Rick, how do we sniff out motivation? It's real simple. You need to find people that need to sell their house as opposed to people that want to just sell their house. It's really important you understand that distinction. Once you understand that distinction, you can work with any lead, because the minute they have no motivation and it's a nice, pretty house and they're talking to you like a realtor, you got to jolt them back and find out why you're even on the phone with this person. And if you get a hard no, that's okay too. Guys, the first thing you have to do on all conversations is identify their motivation. But before you do that, any of you that are dealing with inbound leads, this doesn't relate to the cold callers other than return cold calls, is you have to answer your phones. Honestly, you guys, you're going to laugh about this. A lot of you are scared to death to answer your phone, and it shows. And you have to answer your phone. The reality is, if I got 10 letters or I got anything else, and it's, if I got 10 letters, I bet you 70% of the calls would go to voicemail. Now, if that's crazy, I'm telling you, test it out. I test it all the time. People just don't answer their phones. Why? Number one, some people are just lazy. Number two, some are scared of it. Or some, a guru taught them, let it go to voicemail to screen for motivation. You can't screen for motivation through voicemail. It doesn't work. It's a very one-sided conversation. So for the love of God, answer your phones. I'm telling you, without answering your phones, this one right here, this could change your entire conversation. If you answer a phone live, you catch people by surprise. And the first thing I tell people when they would call me or they call any of my acquisitions people, I say, listen, I'm so glad you called. Do me a favor, put all the letters you got down around you, any postcards. We're going to help you out. I don't want you calling anybody else. Okay. I'm going to block that seller and lock them in, and I'm going to do everything I can to captivate them. Okay. How do I do that? You have to answer the phones first. So really, really important. You guys think, I'm telling you, like, I have spent so much time with so many wholesalers. I'm like, what are you doing? It's just a lead. I'm training right now. There's no higher priority than answering your phones. You guys spend all this money, all this time, all this hustle, and you don't want to answer your phone. You got to check that, man, because it's still a big problem. And I'm telling you, unless you're tied up with a full-time job and that's your only option, either get somebody to help you answer the phones. If you answer the phones live, your ability to close deals goes through the roof. Okay. Make it very personal and go from there. So we talked about identifying people's motivation. So that's the first thing you need to do. So we need to get right into it. MCTP. You guys know exactly what that means. Okay. This is just an acronym for the points we look to touch on to qualify for the lead. So number one, M's for motivation. Okay. I don't say, Mr. Seller, what's your motivation for selling this property? I'm going to go into a seller. Tell me what's going on with you and maybe the house. I do an open-ended question to get into it. At that point, they usually roll into kind of what their motivation is. They don't usually lead with it. Now, if they don't give you that answer right off the bat, the other three will help you rip apart what type of motivation is going on. So the next one is C. Mr. Seller, tell me a little bit about the condition of the property. What's going on with it? And honestly, people either tell you how bad the house is or they're going to tell you how good the house is. Either way, it gets you closer to a qualification. If somebody walks through 10 minutes and tells me how perfect their house is, the white picket fence and the crown molding, I just shell shock them. And here's what I say. I go, John, it sounds like a great house. Why would you even consider selling it? And I just shut up. And then usually right after, they'll tell you why they're going to sell it. I'm selling this because I need to be closer to my mom to take care of her. She got a little bit elderly, and that's the reason I need to sell it. Remember, they don't always tell you in the first stroke, okay? So condition usually will tell you the condition of the house. Obviously, the worst condition of the house increases your odds exponentially, okay? The next one's going to be time frame, okay? I've never met a seller yet that doesn't have a plan on where they're going to go when they sell the house. So ask them, if I'm able to buy your house, what's your plan? Where are you moving to, Rick? And either they're going to give you a detailed explanation right there. Hey, listen, I'm moving by the end of this month. No matter what happens, I'm going to live with my sister. I got a moving truck coming on the 19th, and I plan on being packed and gone and on the road by the 28th. Can you help me with that? Perfect. As opposed to the other person goes, well, I haven't really thought about it. I haven't looked up a moving company and I have no idea where I'm going to live. That person is 90 to 180 days away from even considering selling their house or signing a contract. So knowing the time frame is probably the most critical part of identifying people's motivation, and it comes out in the qualifying questions. And then the last one is price. Now, I'll give you a little disclaimer. Price alone is not a motivating factor. If it's just price, it's what we call MLS stuff, which is for realtors, and we don't do that. Every now and then you can snag one on price, but it's very, very rare you're just going to buy on price, because if it's price, the highest bidder wins, and we usually are the lowest bidder, as I teach you, and that's not where you want. You don't want to be at the highest bidder. So when it comes to price, I never use the word price, ask, or offer. They are like the three poison words in real estate investing in relation to wholesale. So you say, Rick, how do I ask? It's real simple. Hey, Mr. Seller, what do you need to get rid of this property? I use very, very direct, what's the word? Verbs. You know, I didn't pay attention in English. You guys know my ADHD. So I'm going to use words that just try to trigger like what they need to get rid of it. Because everybody has this conversation. They'll have it with their spouse, their family. I go, listen, we're going to ask 165 for the house, but if this investor comes by and he offers us like 130, I'm just going to take it. So when I use words like, listen, John, what's the least amount you take for the, what's going to get this property moved? What do you need to get? What do you need to get? It's probably the best go-to phrase I have. I have people that are better than me, that work for me, that are a lot better than I am. Zach's really good at it, but you see the difference when you ask for a price, or, how much are you looking to get for it? You're usually going to a wish list. We're just going to the heart of it. What do you need to get? And a lot of times they'll go, well, what do you mean by that? I go, well, have you discussed it over the family? What is it that gets this deal done? And real direct. And then sometimes they'll go like this. I spoke it over with my wife, and she said the least we can take is 130, 135. Okay, perfect. So now you started the negotiation process. So MCTP, guys, burn it in your brain. And the beauty of it, by learning the acronym, you don't have to have this complicated script, because everybody has some sort of script. Don't get me wrong. We all got to start from somewhere, and I'm fine with it. But I eventually want you to memorize the points of your script. So in the qualifying section, MCTP, now you can drop your script other than the acronym, and you can put it like right next to your computer. You can put it on your phone. Heck, you can put it on your screensaver. Don't put my mug on there, because that's going to create a lot of questions. But once you do that, you can now turn your scripts into conversations. And this is where quality conversations destroy any type of VA that's just going to sit there and do a checklist. Listen, I love VAs, but for the most part, they're not really good at answering phones. They will follow the script to a T, but 95% of the time, and I get a lot of phone calls because I bought a lot of property, and there's a piece of software out there, scraping everybody's phone number, and it's really annoying because you got to keep switching phone numbers. That's another topic. But I can tell when a VA is called every time. And some are good, but like, you guys know when someone's going through a script from a foreign country, it's not hard to figure out. Don't be that person. Listen, if that's what you got to do, I'm fine with it. But most of you are starting out, you're answering your phones on your own. Have a high quality conversation. Okay. Because let me ask you, would you rather do business with someone you personally know or a stranger off the street? Okay. Yes, you are a stranger off the street. Just switch to being personal. How do you do that? You have to have a conversation. Okay. Scripts get you nowhere. It's a checklist, and you're never going to win somebody over in a script. You ever been in a doctor's office and they rattle off all the questions? That's literally a script. You have to have a conversation. So how do we turn our scripts to conversations? Number one, start with the basic techniques we teach here. So guys, if you are new to this, I want you to go, if you are new to wholesaling in general, go over to freewholesaling.com. As I said, it is the largest wholesaling course available in the world right now. And the really cool thing is it's 100% free. I teach all these techniques in there. I go into greater detail. I'm not holding back, but we only have so much time. I'm here for 2 hours. I want to give you as much value as possible. So I want you to jump into mirroring. Mirroring just basically means pretend you put a mirror up in front of someone and you try to mimic them. Now, don't mimic them to the point where you're trying to humiliate them. That's not going to work. But your tonality, your speed of your words and your conversation, the intensity you speak at, the pauses, facial features. Are they standing? I'm going to stand. Are they sitting? I'm going to sit. Are they outside? I'm going to be outside with them. Really critical stuff. It works like a charm. I'd like to tell you, I came up with this. This is over 100 years old sales technique. To me, it's kind of common sense. If you have a quiet talker, you got to talk quiet. If you have a slow talker, you got to slow it down. Really, really easy. And once you build all this stuff, you turn your script into conversations by using these techniques. Confidence. This is what your sellers are truly looking for. But you're like, Rick, I've never done a deal before. How the heck am I going to get confidence? I go, well, I tell you what, at some point you never took a step before and you took faith and moved forward with that step. And even though you fell 100 times on your face, your parents never gave up on you. Why they gave up on you after you're 18, 19, that's another conversation. But you have to get confidence. And one of the most challenging things in wholesaling is people believe to get confidence, they got to get their first deal or two done. I'm here to tell you, if that was the rule, there would never be a wholesaler on the face of this earth. I've been through this. Zach been through this. You're all been through this. So you have to have this thing, what we call faith. Okay. And faith is believing in something, even though even though you're not sure, that you don't know that you can actually accomplish it. So if you have faith and you know other people have taken that journey and you follow the same journey, you can be pretty confident you can get there. And you have to take that leap, okay? Because if you're not confident with your sellers, you freak them out, okay? So be confident about yourself, your personality. I don't want you to lie. I don't want you to go in areas you don't know. Wholesaling is the art of working with people and helping them solve their problems. Real estate is just a symptom of human life. And if you understand that, you can easily embrace and attack wholesaling because the valuation is just a number at the end of the day. What you're trying to go in is find a problem, try to ease the problem, and try to bring a solution to the problem that a traditional realtor probably could never bring to them. Okay. So we have confidence and let me pop that up there. Rapport. So we've gone from script to conversation. I've given you just a couple little bullet points. If you go to freewholesaling.com, I'll teach you how to do it deeper. And then we talk about rapport. The rapport is the ability to connect with someone. So if any of you are married, you got a boyfriend, girlfriend, you have kids, you have rapport. So you already have this skill built inside of you. You just got to pull it out. Rapport is the bridge to all great deals. Every great deal I've ever had rapport in it. Like you can't. So I've had motivation and I build rapport. You can't skip this process. So many people try to scale wholesaling and they'll hire VAs and they outsource it and they just want to run through people. You can run through all the people you want. I'll sit there and build rapport and I'll make a ton of money. A lot of my deals come from wholesalers that have ran people over with VAs and they have terrible quality conversations. And they're just looking what we call that low-hanging fruit, the person that just doesn't give a crap. And there are people out there like that, but honestly, it is a unicorn. They are not out there a lot, and you will probably run out of money before you find them using that method. But who am I to say? I've only been doing this, I'm going on 21 years. I think I know what I'm saying when I do this. So guys, rapport. Rapport is everything. Rapport is what lets people put their guard down so you can have a real conversation with them, okay? Think about this. When you first call a seller calls you, think of it's like a boxing match. Everyone's holding their hands up, waiting to go to blows. That's how your sellers feel. Like, oh crap, what's he coming out with me now? What are they trying to sell me? And your job is to open that wall up. You can't do it all in one shot, but you got to pick away at it. If you don't put that wall down, you are going to constantly be punched and the person's going to be in a defensive posture. So think about that friend you see when you go out to dinner, like, oh, hey, Rick, I haven't seen you in years. And like, it's like you didn't skip a beat. You're like high-fiving each other. Everyone's having drinks, having a good time. You've got to get to that same feeling. You're not going to get it every time, but I'm just telling you, man, when you get it, it's unbelievable. And if you start doing that on the phone conversation, by the time you get to the appointment, it's so much easier. Okay. Guys, rapport is the bridge to all great deals. I rarely have one without it. Okay. So, guys, remember, on every phone conversation I have a seller, strive for an outcome with each seller. So if the goal is to move and qualify them to find out if you're going to do an appointment or you're going to make an offer with them, or you do both, whatever it is, you have to have a goal. So if I'm on the phone 2 hours calling people, I want to get something accomplished in 2 hours. Okay. Sometimes you guys get in conversations and it's not going anywhere. So remind yourself, I don't care if you got to print something on your desk next to your phone, you have to have an outcome with each conversation. And sometimes the outcome is negative, and that's okay, because you can move them off your list and go on to the next motivated seller. Okay. There's nothing worse when a seller sits in the maybe, let me think about it zone. It's brutal. I call it the friend zone. You don't want to be there. It's not a fun place. We've all been there in high school. We're all like grown adults. And I'm sorry if you're in high school, you're listening to this. The quicker you learn this, you've got to get outcomes from people. People who put you on maybe, let me think about it. Those are the ones that will waste everyone's time. Do not let them waste your time. Either put them on the spot and move forward to get a decision. How do you do that? The more you build rapport, the better the conversation you have. You can get past that one. But I don't let it go by. I do not want to spend 45 minutes talking to someone to have them get back with me later. So I'm always going to qualify them and make sure everyone you talk to, if you feel like the conversation's not going anywhere, just go, Rick told me I had to have an outcome. I want a yes, I want to know, or like I want an appointment to verify some numbers. I'm okay with no. Like people like, oh, you get upset with no. I'd rather have a no than a maybe. A maybe means I'm either lying to you, I'm buying time, I'm scared to death, and I don't know how to make this decision, which is very common in real estate. Remember, this is typically people's biggest asset, and they don't know how to tell you. It's your job. Figure yourself as a guide along the journey. If they need to sell the house needs to be sold, and they have a plan to get out of there. It's your job to structure an offer that entices them, that is a win-win, meaning it works for us and it works for them. If it just works for them, you'll be out of business in no time. And I tell all my sellers, if it's not a win-win, I'm not interested in doing it. So when they ask me for $1 million for like a $300,000 house, I just like, well, how's that going to work? How could I possibly do that? How'd you come up with that price? So, and here's the last thing, and this is one that's often overlooked. Stop taking anything personally someone tells you on a phone. Like, just move on. Okay. It just, people will say weird things to you. Here's how I look at it. Everybody that contacts me, or I even contact them, I have a chance. I have a shot. Okay. And if I have a shot, that's all I can ask for. I can't be mad at them, even if they're screaming obscenities to me. Sorry you feel that way. Is there a better time I can talk to you? Remember, we've all had bad days. That person just could have been caught at the wrong time, and you can't take it personally. I'm telling you right now, I have personally been chewed out by sellers, like really bad stuff, only to have them call me back and apologize 3 or 4 days later because I ended the conversation on a positive note, and buy their house. Okay. This is part of losing your ego in this business. Okay. Stop trying to win the battle. Go for winning the war. Okay. And there's no war here. If it's a win-win situation, it's like a peace treaty that's good for all. So when someone's really, really nasty to you, like, you don't have to take it, but just end it politely. Listen, I'm sorry you feel that way. If anything changes, give me a call back, and just leave it. You could have just caught them at a really bad time. And remember, when people are mad at you, and this works outside the phone, just because they're mad and upset is they're projecting something. It might have nothing to do with you. You just might have triggered them. So like, don't take it personally. So many guys like, oh my God, I got chewed on the phone. Here's what I do. When I have acquisitions people and phone people, I train them for weeks on end and chew them out. So by the time they get chewed out, they're just laughing at it. So it was a culture shock when I first started doing this. And I know some of you are on this live going, man, this is brutal on the phone. I'm like, I know, I know, but it's the price we pay to get the financial freedom and get freedom of our time. And that's what you guys got to understand. And that's what I want you guys to know. So these are just a few tips here. Go over to freewholesaling.com. I got a whole section on how to answer your phones. I'll go into much deeper detail. And you guys got to use these tactics because so many wholesalers are trying this big scale thing. And I'm here to tell you, they have to increase their quantity so big and their budgets have to be huge because the only way you're going to make up with low quality conversations is you have to have a large quantity of leads. So most of you don't want to spend 20, 30 grand a month on marketing. So the leads you do get and the sellers you engage, just increase the quality of your conversations. So you got a choice, higher quality conversations, or you can up the quality of crappy leads. I choose to have the higher quality. It's less people, but I make plenty of money doing that. And it's like, I don't need 10,000 deals. The people trying to tell you do 30, 40 deals a month, it's very hard to have quality conversations because that's going to take a lot of leads. So I kind of got my leads figured out. Every market's a little bit different. And my goal is to help you guys concentrate on quality conversations and stop this yo-yo where people are teaching you to do massive quantity leads and just have a staff rip through them, because you are going to have to pump a serious amount of leads. So I can do 10 to 15% of what I call a big company does, and I'll actually make more money than that company. And I enjoy like a super fantastic life. But guys, you understand there's only like 1 to 3% of the properties that are even going to fit our model. So everyone goes, well, I got 100,000 leads. I'm like, there's not 100,000 like motivated sellers in your market. I'm sorry to tell you that. It's the truth. Okay. Can you convince them? No. If you want to be a realtor, you can list them, but like we're going to be limited in what we can do with it. And so then they're going, well, you go to like 15 other markets. You can, but you can drive yourself nuts. So quality conversations, guys. That's it. Let me get to the questions or we jump in. I got a lot of people waiting today, so I don't want to take up much more time here. So Jose put on there, hey guys, I'm a new beginner, new to wholesaling here. I haven't done anything yet. Any ideas how to get my first deal? It's scrolling across the bottom of your screen. And I know people in the comments will give you a warm welcome if you have any questions, like how does this work? How do we do this? And guys, just I have people on here that does hundreds of deals. I've done thousands. I have people who have never done a deal before. There's no difference in any of us. Like I check my ego at the door. I've taught you guys all this. I'm extremely humble in what I do. Okay. Me and Zach like to have fun with what we do. And some people just like, they get so caught up into it. Like, oh, this and that. Listen, we like to entertain. We like to engage you. But more importantly, we like to show you being authentic. It's who I am. It's what I am. I ain't going to change. Honestly, I'm old enough. I'm kind of set in my ways, but I'm open to it by leaving my ego at the door. So I want you to understand, Jose, is you are going to be presented with a million options getting started out in wholesaling. And some people go, listen, if you go the paid way, it's going to be better. You can do what you want. Freewholesaling.com is everything you need to get your first few deals and get your first 100 grand. And after that, you pave the way on which you want to go. So welcome to the group. Check it out. We go live 6 days a week, and there's plenty of people to help you out with it. So somebody put a comment on here at, what is it? Where is it? So what's up? Hey, I guess it's Tristan. So I do have a probate course out there. I have to do this like once a month and tell people I don't own the course anymore. I sold the rights to it. I got out of doing anything that was really course sales because it's an old course. It's called PPS. The problem is I don't run it. So it's my video on my face. It's really good quality content, but I don't run it. So who's ever sold you the course, make sure you buy it. Make sure it's in the United States, number one. Number two, you're going to have to reach out to them for the login information. I don't have access to this. It's my face on there. So the deal expires soon, like a year and a half. And after that, it will be down for good. And I'll probably put it back in the freewholesaling.com. But I made commitments years ago. And I'm just telling you, I do not, when you guys send me all these emails, like I can't log in and stuff like that, it's not me. Okay. So I know the person that owns it. If you just put in their ticket and follow through with it, I'm sure they'll give you access. It's really good information. but like, you can't be sending me email. There's nothing I can do. Okay. And you guys know, if you see the course like really cheap somewhere, it's a knockoff and it's been pirated, and you do not want to give these types of people your credit card. So just be careful who you buy it from. There is a reputable seller out there, and I'm just going to kind of leave it at that. But put in a ticket for whoever you bought it for, pull up your receipt and your email, and they might take some time, but I'm sure they'll help you out, Tristan. So guys, I just, for the record, me and Zach physically don't sell anything. So we're never going to ask you for money. I know a lot of you are getting DMs, you get fake profiles on Instagram, stuff like that. It's not us. So if you remember the rule that we don't ask you for any money. So if somebody says, hey, this is Rick and Zach, and we're asking you for money, they're full of it. They're lying to you. And this is, guys, this is going on everywhere. You got to be really careful who you give your credit card to these days, especially gurus that don't know much about wholesaling. It's really bad out there. So let's see here. What's up, Corey? So quality of leads versus quantity. And guys, I'm all about that. I know a lot of people go against the grain on me in that, but I've been doing this a long time. And I always remember why I got into wholesaling. It's so I could spend as much time with my family as humanly possible. You guys see what I do with Zach. Without wholesaling, that wasn't possible. It also gives me the financial freedom. I'm the only guy on my block that's been retired since I was like 42. Like, what do you do? Like, you never, like, I do plenty. I don't go to physical work. So wholesaling, once you get it dialed in, guys, you become a master at it. You'll never retire from it, because why would you retire from such a profitable stream? So let me ask you this. All the gurus that go out there that don't wholesale anymore, but they do coaching, why do you think they make that pivot? I get it. They can make a lot more money and their life's a lot easier, but maybe they weren't very profitable at wholesaling and they don't do that anymore. A lot of them go, wow, we just do big deals. And I'm okay with that. I do big deals too. My wholesaling operation just runs itself, though. I'm not in it. I just help with funding and some basic marketing. But for the most part, it pretty much runs itself. I'm not making 10 million a year, but I'm making 7 figures, and I enjoy what I do. So why would I stop it? I could do it till the day I die. Like, it'll always be run. So I always wondered why wholesalers, when they announce they're quitting their business and stuff, that means the business is failing. It's just the truth. Why would you shut down a business that makes money? Someone please explain it to me. I know not every wholesaler is profitable, but if a wholesaler was so successful to say, I'm shutting down my business to do coaching, they never really figured out wholesaling, in my opinion. Like, think about that. If I can run my 7-figure business and still talk to you guys, why do I need to quit it? The only reason you quit is because it's not making any more money, or maybe they just don't like it. I don't know. So I appreciate it, guys. I'm just double checking comments. Let me get on here. Awesome. Okay. So let me jump on here. Ryan, you there? You're the first in line today. Ryan, can you hear me? Ryan.
Yeah, I can hear you.
There you are, man. How you doing?
All right. Pretty good. I've had a good day and a bad day all in one.
Hey,
so
listen, as long as you're above ground, it's a damn good day.
It is a really good day. I had a deal in Tampa that I had the buyer for, and now my seller she has some serious medical conditions, and so I'm letting her back out for right now. But
so it won't be the first time it happens to you. It
No.
won't be the last time either. So here's my theory on that. So you guys, everyone's like, what do we do if somebody backs out on a contract? First of all, listen to the story of the seller and be a damn human being. Like, I've entered into a lot of contracts with elderly people, and they get like sticker shock when they go out, and I had a little old lady who wanted to rent a place. She goes, well, I think $1,000 is reasonable. And I remember my sales guy telling me that. I'm like, dude, you need to go back and tell her the truth. She goes, it's $3,000 for a typical place in Florida. She goes, I can't afford to sell it. And we thought, and he goes, I'll look for it. Don't ever be the realtor to find them a place. We just had to let her out of the contract because, well, what am I going to do? Take her house somewhere and kick her out on the street? Like, you have to listen to the reason. Now, I'm also on the other side is when their reason doesn't add up and they're lying to you, then I tell them I'm not going anywhere. We need to work this out. Okay.
Yeah.
I am not getting out of the way so you can get a few more bucks. Like, we made a commitment. I've done everything. We're on the line. And I tell them I'm not going to get out of the way. And here's what I always tell them. If I'm doing it locally, I always go meet with them. 9 times out of 10, when you meet with a seller, it solves a problem. But virtually, I kind of walk them through it. I'm not getting out of the way so another wholesaler or realtor can take advantage of the deal. But if you have a medical issue, you have an issue where something's changed, you have a special needs child, if I told you the hundreds of contracts I've left, like it happens, guys, like people just like they change their mind. Remember, when they sign a contract, you still have to get them to the closing table. It's only half the battle. So anyways, just let you know you're not alone. It happens to us more often than you think. And if you keep that relationship, something might change 6 months or a couple years down the road.
Well, and that's what I've told her. I said, hey, just the one thing, if I'm letting you out, I totally understand. She has lymphoma. She's looking to move. She was wanting to move up with her grandkids up in South Carolina, but then they came to visit and she realized how crazy it is.
Yeah.
And she doesn't want to be this burden, and just a lot of different variables. And so she was stressing out to the point it is affecting her. And I'm like, hey, don't worry about this. So as long as she's like, Ryan, I'll come to you first, if I ever change my mind. So that's good. Today also, I've got another one in Houston, and I wanted to kind of see, there's another wholesaler involved, but he's kind of dropped the ball. And I'm matching, it's like 225. It like ARV, it's already decked out and ready to go. She's already remodeled it. She's sending me more pictures. She talked about everything that she's done to the house. And it's about like 275. I also, so it's like not a huge spread, but it's decent. But also I've talked to her about like seller financing and lease option, and came to some agreement also on that. So there's 2 different routes, and she's willing to give me anywhere from 18 to 24 months at like $2,000 a month towards the purchase price.
Okay.
Versus any interest or anything on there. So for you, like what kind of stuff makes you go after a seller finance versus, hey, I've got some margin in there just to hurry and just to wholesale it?
Well, so seller finance, just so you guys know, is, there's a lot of confusion out there right now with it. Everybody's like, oh, it's the hottest craze. Seller finance has been around forever. Like, I mean, hundreds of years. Like, we're not inventing anything in here. So here's how I look at seller financing. When the easiest way to do it, and not every way works out this, I put on my wholesaling hat first, and I go in, I figure out what the valuation of the property is, what the issues, and what the motivation is. Okay. Try to attack it from a wholesaler. Sometimes it just doesn't work. They owe too much. There's circumstances outside of our control. And then what happens is the best creative financing you can do is the one where you're the only person that has the answer for it. It truly is the best way to do it, because you're like, listen, if I can't buy this house, what are you going to do? And this is what a creative finance person will say. They go, honestly, I don't know, Rick. If you don't buy this house, I have no idea what I'm going to do. That's when a creative solution is ripe, because you are the only solution. Okay. What I don't agree with on creative financing is when you have to negotiate everything. Okay. So when somebody has to take a creative solution, like, if you don't take this, my credit's screwed, the house is going to be foreclosed, and I don't know what I'm going to do. So you get more favorable terms. The problem is when you negotiate a creative finance, meaning it's not necessarily, they don't have to do it that way. People tend to overpay on the creative financing. Creative financing, the number one rule is why people try to buy them is cash flow. And I agree with it. But there are other factors you have to consider, because cash flow only takes care of from the day you buy it to right before the day you sell it. That's all it covers. Okay. So if I made $500 a month for 24 months, you'd be happy. But what happens on the 25th month and I have to sell it, cash it out, refinance it? Where are the numbers going to be? And am I going to be in worse shape than you were? And right now, a lot of the teachings in creative financing, they're not addressing this situation. And that's my problem with it, is you have to let creative financing happen naturally. If you have no experience in creative financing and you've never really done wholesaling, and you go, listen, I'm going to buy this course and I'm just going to go out and seek people for creative financing on these types of lists, you're in for a wild ride, because you're not going to know. I like to buy creative financing where I can cash flow from day one. because I can't get in trouble. Let me give you an example. Say you took over the house, call it a lease option, creative financing and whatever, and it sounds like a perfect house. It doesn't need a lot of work, which are my favorite ways to do them. You do not creative financing on houses you need to be fixed up, puts you usually in a terrible cash flow position because you've got to pull that money out of your back hip, right?
Yeah.
So if the seller goes, listen, I'll take $3 or $5 grand for the deed and sign it over to you, and you can get like favorable terms, then and the house is ready to go, I know I can make money with that property no matter what, because what's your average rent? Usually first, last, and security. So say if a rent's $2,000, what's that? 246. They're going to come up with $6 or $7 grand just to get a rental. So you have to have a premium over that. So you can usually ask for 10 or higher. Okay. So if you get 10 and say you gave them 5, at least you pocket $5 grand, which is very similar to an assignment fee. And then hopefully you're making a comfortable amount of cash flow on it and you got a reasonable cash out number. The only other thing that worries me when you said that 24 months is a very, very short time. Okay. So I got a lot of gray in my hair. I've got adult grown children. Time goes by fast, and 24 months seems like a long time, but in this current market cycle, the way interest rates are going, it's getting weird. So I always ask everybody for 60 months. I try to ask for everyone. If it's then this last run in the market, I would go down to 36 months. 24 months is very, very temporary. Very, 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 very temporary. So the longer you can make the term, the more flexible it is. When you're creative financing me, you're the only fit for them. They have no other option. You get whatever terms you want within reason, because they're in a bad position and you have to try to bail them out. So when you start negotiating, remember, we're in a market that's inventory is increasing. Prices are flattening. Now in Florida, they're flattening. I wouldn't say they're retreating, but they're not, let's say everything's overpriced anyways. And then you got interest rates just spiraling out of control. So these types of deals, if you can get them, they can work out. The ones I don't like where you guys go, well, I'm giving them 20, 30 grand up front and I'm doing repairs on the house and I got to cash them out in 24 months. You're a dead man walking on those deals. Dude, I had 4 or 5 deals like that. And I had to call the seller back 3 years later and unwind them. It was embarrassing. I felt horrible, and I learned a valuable lesson. You have to look past the cash flow when doing creative financing. So if you agree to pay $200,000 for the house and say the house is valued at like 190, say you're paying a little bit of a premium because they overpaid for it. What if the market corrects itself 15 to 20% and it's a 3 to 5 year correction and you got to cash them out in 24 months? What are you going to do? You're stuck. Like you're in a bad position. And now they have leverage over you and you could risk the down payment and all the repairs you've done on the property. So, I know that's a long-winded answer, but like, I never push creative financing. If it fits naturally and I'm solving a problem nobody else can solve, I know I can get. So most of the creative financing I get, when I get a subject to, and I'm the only solution to it, they'll go, well, can't you cash out in like 3 years? I go, I don't know if I can. Like, what's the house going to be worth? Like you overpaid for it. Now I got to pay what you paid. I got, how many years you got left on the loan? 28. I go, okay. That's what I say. I'll try to get it cashed out by then.
Yeah,
like, and here's what I say, what are you going to do if I don't buy it? Like you're going to lose the entire house. Let me try to fix it. Listen, you're doing them a favor. You're repairing their credit. You're helping them out a lot. When you get in a problem is when you're in a decent market and you try to negotiate creative financing and it's not the only solution. They're going to ask you for everything and you're going to usually wind up paying it. 24 months, I wouldn't do it. I'd rather pay a higher price and get a longer period.
Okay.
I like 60 months, guys. 60 months is the sweet spot. Why? Because you can get through any market in 60 months. 24 months, we're in hairy waters right now. So the one speculating, I'm in Florida. I think we're going to have 18 to 24 months of a little bit of turmoil. I don't think, but listen for the record, some pockets of the country are going to get hit pretty hard. I don't have a crystal ball which ones are going to be, but do the math in your state. Like Texas and Florida has much more inflow than it has outflow. And I think those types of states are going to soften the blow. You look at like California is already established. I don't even count that one. New York, I kind of wipe it off. But like some of these markets like the Carolinas, Tennessee, and stuff like that, it's going to get really interesting because there's been a lot of buying activity. I think we're going to correct about 10, 15%. It has to. We are going to be at 7% interest rates, guaranteed, in my opinion. We're already at 6.25, 6.5. If we hit 8%, you could see some train wrecks happen, like really bad. So always go with your wholesaling hat on it, but just be careful. Any creative financing, make sure you can ride out these current markets and come out sweeter than when you went in. And how do you save that? Do not put out a lot of money out of your pocket, and don't take on big rehab projects on creative financing, because those are the ones that will kill you, because you don't have a choice. Once you put all your money into it, you have to find a way to get it out. So I like to be the only solution to creative financing. That's why subject to is perfect. So if somebody, Rick, what type of deal would that be? Say somebody bought a house, they put 5% down in the market over the last 2 years. They probably paid top price, right? Now they need to sell it. Something's going on in their life, whatever. You know, there's no equity there. They're actually in a negative equity position. If I sell it traditionally with a realtor, I got to pay the 6% fee, the closing cost. She said I have to bring a check about $30,000 to the table. That sucks. Sorry to hear that. And I just try to be nice to them. I go, well, normally I like to buy it cash, but I can't do it. Are you open to a creative solution? What do you have in mind? I'm desperate. I got nothing else going on. I go, well, I have a solution where I could take over your mortgage. I'll make up the last 2 payments. I might be able to give you a few bucks. It will fix your credit, but I need time to right this ship. If you'll work with me on that, I think we can work out a deal. Let me know. Now, the more the house is fixed up, the more happy I am to do it, because with blinds and stuff like that, I mean, you spend thousands of, like, even get a house up for a little. So you can rent it, you can lease option it, you can do a subject to, you can do a wrap. It's kind of endless. But guys, I'm telling you, you can do a creative financing and get yourself in a lot of trouble. Like, because some people right now are only looking at cash flow, and they're not looking up at the cash flow up front and the cash flow when they exit. Okay. Some properties are just bad too. So I know it's a long-winded answer, but I'm just telling you, creative financing, it's got to fit in like a glove. Creative finance, you don't go out and negotiate these deals. Only in the commercial arena can you do stuff like that. In the single family and the multifamily, for the most part, they're like, okay, I'm going to do that. Like, I don't really have a lot of options. I have a property I've been dealing with today on the commercial side. They've had this thing on the market 2 years, in and out. I've watched 5 different brokers come on. So I was in the area today and I saw the broker over there. I'm like, what are you doing here? So I've made multiple offers on this property. It hasn't worked out. And they're like, they're putting it back on the market. I got a private viewing. I'm like, they go, hey, does your offer still stand? I go, the one I gave you 6 months ago, all cash. I go, it stands, but it's about 30% lower. They're like, what? I go, you know the issues with that product. I'm the only person that can solve it. When are you guys going to come to the realization? And that was a creative offer because they've got some title issues and stuff like that. I go, none of these buyers are going to deal with it. And I know I'm the best fit. I know it's going to take me another 6 months to a year to get it. But I'm telling you, when I get it, it's going to be amazing. So
it's awesome. Well, thank you guys. And thank you for your help and everything you guys do. And
yeah, keep doing it, guys. Creative financing has to be, it fits. Like, there's no negotiating. It's kind of relieving on wholesaling, because a creative financing deal, you traditionally can't do the wholesaler route. And that's why you're doing it. Now, if I have a property I really like, and I know the exact value, I know there's buyers for it, I know what the issue is, sometimes you can go in with a creative solution that's not the traditional wholesaling route, but it's like, so if somebody owns a property like free and clear, and they're asking like too much money for it on the open market. So say they're asking $215. I'm like, listen, if I buy it at like $195, I can probably sell it at like $219, $220, and it's in good shape. That one, I'll do a creative one all day, but I already know the outcome. And unless you know the outcome, you can't do that. And that's the scary part, because when you have to backpedal on a creative financing deal, it's embarrassing. Like, it's hard because remember, the seller trusted you. You made an offer. You got them excited. They told the family, and you come back and go, I can't make that work. So it's bad enough in wholesaling when people have to back out, like that scenario you said on like that. That's just part of life. You can't get mad about it. And if you burn that bridge when it does come time for them to sell, you're going to miss that boat. I've probably bought 100 deals, just like people you just described like that. Just go, it sucks. go throw something against the wall when you're done, and just go get somebody else, and you're fine with it. But dude, you're right on. Where are you located?
I'm in Arizona.
Yeah, you're all over the place, man. Like so you do Florida, you do Houston. How do you find your markets, if you don't mind? I'd like to poll people and see how they get their information.
I've got some other just general leads from a VA that's helped me out, and we've gone. Houston's kind of a one-off, but the one in Florida, we've been doing Tampa, and then Arizona, and I do a little bit in Utah because that's where I'm from too. So
okay, awesome, man, awesome. Okay, any other questions? Anything I can help you out with?
No, that's it. I appreciate it.
Okay, man, I appreciate it, man. I'll talk to
you.
you. Okay, awesome. So, guys, sometimes people will fall out of contract. I don't want to do that. Let me see. Let me make some room for some people in here. Don't take it personal when I kick you out of the studio. It's got so many people waiting. I want to pick away at it. So let's see here. Aaron, you there? Aaron. Give Aaron a second, see if he comes on here.
Yeah, I'm here.
How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Where are you calling from?
Tennessee.
Oh, cool, man. What's going on? What can I help you out with?
Nothing yet. I mean, I'm sure there is, but I'm just getting into this, and I'm listening to all this stuff.
Okay. You're just trying to see if this thing's for real, right?
Well, I believe it's for real, but I listen to you and then Paul McComas.
Okay.
Maybe somebody else would need some help, but I'm enjoying listening to you.
Okay. Well, I hope like I'm somewhat entertaining, but just make sure you go over to that freewholesaling.com. You can register there, and all the information, everything I talk about, I just go in much, much greater detail over there. So use that. And then between me and my son, we're live 6 days a week, and I'm happy to help you out anytime. So you got any questions or anything you want to ask me while you got you there?
I don't think so. I'm sure there's something I'll think of, but I can't think of it right now.
Okay, we'll hop back on, and you know where we are. I appreciate you tuning in, Aaron. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so let's see. I'm looking at comments here. So let's jump over to Nick. You there?
Yeah. Hey, Rick. How are you doing?
Good, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for all the valuable information you guys provide. It's really inspired me to take it serious. So
excellent.
I had a question I've been kind of mulling over the last couple of weeks, specifically about probate. So I'm a real estate agent. I helped a family do a probate sale last year, and it had to go through the court. And when it went through the court, it got bid up like $200,000. Does every probate have to go through a court-approved sale?
Okay, what state are we talking about?
Nevada.
Okay. So here's the challenge. 3,500 counties across this country. I can't memorize every one of them. So rule number one is you can simply do an online search for Nevada. Now, Nevada's all their stuff's, I'm pretty sure you can look at their statutes online. You can look for it in regards to probate, and they will spell out the statutes. You got to find out what's required in your state. Okay. A lot of people go, well, this happened, and so everything's going to be like that before. Every now and then, some probates have problems, meaning they're questioning the authenticity of the executor selling it, and there's family members fighting it. So the court will get involved and do like a bidding process. That's when there's usually challenges. There are some states that have requirements, but for the most part, it's kind of the Wild West. I'm just here to tell you because I bought a lot of properties. So like the state of Florida, the only thing it requires for a probate, a probate is just nothing more than the legal process of transferring the title to an asset that someone is no longer alive for. So you can't sign over a checking account. If Jane Smith passed away, a dead person can't sign it over. Okay. So it happens with titles, cars, boats, RVs, trailers, houses. That's a deed. checking accounts, stocks, bonds. The only way you can do that is by a court order. And so they have the process called probate. And the idea is they take the last will and testament. Sometimes there is no last will and testament. And there's a petitioner. A petitioner typically hires an attorney. 98% of probates go through an attorney. Like, it's very few people do it by themselves. The states discourage it. And then once they do that, as long as you follow your state statutes, you're fine. I don't want you to take the rule of the one case you dealt with and think that's like law forever. In Florida, here's the deal. If somebody gets into a probate, so someone files a petition, the petitioner is usually the executor, which is the person in charge of the will. And then they're usually an heir as well. So that person has the biggest interest in it. Okay. All we have to do is reach out and get a relationship. You can do this as a realtor too. I got a lot of competition with realtors. Once that person has the authority to enter in an agreement on the deceased person's behalf, they're in full control. So in the state of Florida, if you were the executor of the will and I reach out to you, I say, Nick, listen, I love that house. I'd love the opportunity to buy it. You have interest in selling it, and we come to a price. You sign it, I sign it. Dude, that's a real estate deal in the eyes of the law. Okay? Now the question is, how do you transact it? If nobody has an issue with it, it goes right through. If somebody's objecting to it and then the family wants to squabble about it, that's the whole point of probate. Our job is not to settle family squabbles. Like you can't. Unfortunately, the nastiest things come out about family when people die. It's dude, I'm gonna tell you, I could write entire books. It's crazy. So you probably heard it. That's not my job. And I got to remain neutral, even if I think someone is you know what. So we enter into an agreement. And then basically my job is to follow the statutes for my state. And then I gently nudge the seller to instruct their attorney what needs to be done next. Most attorneys and probates just sit on probates forever. So a probate is a legal procedure that is not just specific to real estate, it's to all their assets. Okay. So keep in mind, a probate is a probate. Now, if they have a piece of real estate, it typically has to go through the probate for someone to transfer the deed. 98% of the lawyers in the United States will tell you, Ms. Smith, you cannot sell that property until the probate's complete. It's a 100% lie. It's like, dude, I've bought hundreds of them this way. Okay. The courts aren't stupid. Some people have very expensive pieces of real estate. Some probates take years to get through, the very complicated ones that people have a lot of assets. Why would that person want to keep a house, pay the insurance, the mortgage, the taxes, the utilities, the upkeep? Sometimes them need staff. So almost every court has a procedure where you can file a motion to liquidate the asset if you have consent of a buyer and seller. That's all I do. I don't understand probate completely. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not here to give legal. I know in the states I operate in that if a buyer and a seller agree and they have the legal authority, I just shove it through probate as fast as I can because they typically want it done. The person wants full retail and the family wants to fight it out. I don't really touch those probates, and those typically have to get appraisals, BPOs. Sometimes they have to get an auctioneer and stuff like that. Now, I've heard so many people, well, the state requires to bid it up. The state's job is not to get the highest offer for the property. It's up to the petitioner if they want to go that route. So if you want to get clarity, read the statutes first. Step one. Step number two, contact your local probate court in the state that you're doing it, the county you want to do it, and find out what the procedure is. And then number three, talk to a title company. And then that might lead you to the path of a probate lawyer and get the right answer. I had such bad information in Florida when I started. I was told it had to have two appraisals before you could ever buy it. And that kept me away from 2 years. It doesn't. Now, I had one property where we had a very low amount. The judge questioned it. And here's how it went. So they asked me to, I had to go to a court appearance, which I was not really happy about. And the judge asked me, Mr. Ginn, why are you buying this so low? So what I did is I brought a realtor, the realtor that was helping me in representing the transaction. She explained through pictures and said, listen, this is what the typical property sells for. This one needs $100,000 in repairs. Here's the rats running around into it. The judge's like, okay, I get it. No problem. So every now and then the judge can go, if the house is worth 400,000, why is he buying it for 50,000? If you don't have an answer, you can have some problems in the state you operate. You know that's a rarity, though. Nobody just gives away the property.
That's the one that I did last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it actually happened. The court asked why, and I actually the same thing that you said.
Yeah.
I was the agent, though.
You were what?
I was the agent in the situation, so I told him. I said what you said, the exact same.
And what'd they say?
He just said, "Okay."
Yeah, the judges don't care. Honestly, it's not their job. The court is not there to decide on how much the assets are worth. The job of the probate is just to make sure it's fair and people aren't being abusive of it. Even though I'm here to tell you, there's a lot of abuse that goes on in probate. You would be shocked. So I get this a lot. The person that contacts me to sell the probate, they reach out to me. And then when you start to talk to them, you get to know the family. You find out this person's like a piece of work. Like you hear it over and over and just like, then you have to be on guard. But unfortunately, the reality of this business, like if you gave me a lead, I got to stay true to you until you burn me. And I've had people tell me flat out, he killed mom or he killed dad. I'm like, I'm not here to pass judgment on people. Listen, if you guys have a family, we all have stories. Like there's three sides to every truth, right? Your side, my side, and then the truth. And that's how so like I learned in probate, I'm not here to pass judgment on anyone. I just want to buy the property and move on with my life. Like if you get into the moral dilemma of trying to find out who's right, I'm not going to do business with it because you're a morally corrupt person. You get out of probates because unfortunately when people pass away, some really bad intentions come out that bottleneck in families. And unfortunately, I've seen it a long time and I don't really see it changing. So find out what the rules are and then play by the rules. Guys, this is just like Monopoly. It's like doing your taxes. If you read the rules, you can take advantage of it. And if you're confident you're doing the right thing, when people try to shoot holes in you, like you can't do that. You got to get an appraisal. Go, says who? And like I walk them through it. I have people in Florida. I have realtors all the time says, you're not allowed to sell that without an appraisal and a bidding through the probate judge. I'm like, okay, show it to me in writing. And they never can. And so I've only been questioned once and I bought them really cheap in probate. The court just wants to make sure that the right person's entering into an agreement and they have the right to question it. And if it's way off, the judge's like, am I missing something here? Because they don't want it to come back on them. So this goes on and on in probate. So the biggest thing you do is just make sure you read your rules. And once you know the rules, then you can, especially having a realtor's license, you can subscribe ways to help people out. I found out that you could buy property without waiting till the probates are completed. And people told me I was crazy. I read the rules. I sat down with attorneys. I sat with the probate court. They go, you can do it. I started marketing that way. I blew everybody away. And then I get realtors this date. Rick, you can't sell the property for the probate's over. I'm a lawyer. I'm like, here's the statute. I even have it memorized. Here, okay. 748.18. Like, look it up. Did you rewrite the rule book? And they get so. But the key with all probates, guys, if you can get in direct contact with the executor or the PR, the personal representative, they have the legal authority to enter on a contract. As a realtor, you could have them sign a listing and that they're obligated to it. Same thing as a cash buyer, the same type of deal. And that's why once you get that connection, then the lawyer kind of comes in on the side. You really don't have to bend over backwards. The problem is when the realtor gets in front of your client and thinks they're trying to protect them, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. They're going to tell them you need to get an appraisal. You got to get a BPO. Maybe you should do an auction. My friends are realtors, sign up with them. And like we're constantly chased. They want to review your contracts, pick them apart. So once you get that contract signed, you don't have to have that conversation with the lawyer. He goes, I need to talk to you about your contract. I don't have a contract with you. I'm sorry. I'm like really nice to him. I'm like, I don't care. Try calling a lawyer when you need them. They will never take your phone call. But the minute they need something from you, they will blow your phones up. And so that direct connection with the PR is everything in probates. Once you do that, then you can tell the lawyer what you'll do and what you won't do. And I use the seller to deal with the attorney. If I don't use them, then I'll use one of my attorneys. Don't ever try to contact these probate attorneys on your own, especially when they're not representing your interest. They're going to run you under the bus. So read the rules. I'm telling you, like, I don't know. You might just be one case and it was like an anomaly. And if it's like that, everyone, then you got to make a decision and see if it's worth pursuing in your county or your states.
Okay.
And being a licensed realtor, you need to know that because you need to arm people. Like, guys, listen, death is guaranteed for all of us. So it's coming. So like understanding how probate work is critical in real estate. I avoided it the first 10 years of real estate and is probably one of my bigger regrets in real estate. Ton of money in it. So
I've heard you say that a bunch of times. That's why I'm getting serious about it.
oh, listen, and it's not about quantity. It's about quality. My average probate deal is $56,000. It's almost 3 times what our assignments are. So it's like doing that. It's like doing 3 times a deal. So everybody on my team, when they hear probate, they drop everything. Like, okay, there's a probate, I gotta go. My guy was in here earlier today. I got probate, I gotta go. It's like once you get that, you run with it. But probates, they're slow. You have to spend a lot of time talking to people. I don't care if you're listing it or you're buying it. It's the same amount of energy, by the way, because I compete with a lot of realtors and like we just take their time. Sometimes the house is just run down. It's like they just need a cash buyer. A good realtor, when they see a rundown house like that and they don't want to play wholesaler or real estate investor, they have a good cash buyers list and like this guy would be a great fit for it. They're going to make sure they get paid their maximum commissions and then they're going to leverage that person when they fix it up to come back to you, because that's how you double dip. And listen, if a realtor brings me a deal like that all day long, I'm giving them full 6-7%. And then I'm going to relist it with them as long as they play by the rules, because I look at it as a gift. Like I would have never made that money without them. So a lot of people don't look at it like that, but it's hard. So I paired up with one of the biggest realtors in my market because I was constantly competing with him. And it's not a him, it's actually a her. And I said, listen, if you get one of these crappy probates, just call me. I'll be the buyer. I'll pay you the full commission and I'll let you relist it as long as you play by my rules. And we've done some deals that way. But like when they get the nice, pretty one, I get it. Take it to market. But the ones that are run down, take them. Like it's like there's any way you can play this game however you want to do it. So it's just, guys, understand your rules. Like I have 5 counties I mostly deal with. Every county is extremely different, even though they're in the same state. It pisses me off. But it's the reason you cannot scale probates across the entire country. You'd lose your mind. You'd have to have such a big staff. I get people all the time. They go, I'm going to scale probates across the country. I go, you can't. Like, I can barely manage 5, and I've been doing this 20 years. Not 20 years, more like 12 years. So for probates. So it's what's good about it is bad about it too, because there's only so many people that can do it. There's so you got to know the rules. If you know the rules, then you can talk to any seller and you go, no, you can't do that. Wait a minute. So by the way, realtors are wrong all the time. They prove it 50% every day in the United States and really across the world. But try not to correct the realtor, the lawyer, even when you know it's wrong, and go, I don't know. Like I won't tell them they're wrong because if they tell the lawyer calls you up, starts screaming at you. So I love probates, man. They're dynamite. They're slow, they're steady, but you just need 1 or 2 a year, and it could easily replace the average person's salary and give them a big, nice raise. Yeah. $56,002. That's $112,000. That's not bad. And remember, you would probably spend about 10 to 15 hours total to make that money if you did it right. That's great. And the marketing cost on it, it's less than $200 a year. It's good stuff. So I'm excited. Okay. Anything else, Nick?
What's that?
Anything else I can help you out with?
One more thing. It's pronounced Nevada, not Nevada, just so you know. Yeah, but thanks, Rick.
Say it again. Nevada?
It's Nevada.
Nevada.
Yes.
It's like tomato, right?
No, in the dictionary, it has the mark over the A to show that it's and not ah. Nevada.
Say it one more time so everybody hears you. Nevada.
Yeah.
It's just out there. Man, you guys, it gets so hot there in the summer. They got to stop building out there, man. You guys are building on every square piece of the desert.
Well,
we're not going to have any water left.
That's Las Vegas. I'm in Reno.
That's
by
cool.
Tahoe.
How long have you lived there for?
My whole life.
Okay. So I guess you have the right to tell us how to call it. So I will correct that. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Rick. I appreciate it.
Okay, Nick. Have a good one, man. See, I learned something new every day. Like I've always kind of done the tomato thing with Nevada, but that's interesting. Okay. Okay, let's see here. Then it's supposed to, hey, Rick, found a fire damaged property that needs to be completely demoed. That means knocked down. Why would an investor consider this deal instead of buying a land deal that doesn't have a house that needs to be demoed? Number one, because if you can solve this problem and make a profit, you're going to get it substantially cheaper of anything else on the market. There is an inconvenience of demoing it, but say the land was worth, I don't know, $100,000 and there's a burnt house that's on top of it. Number one, remember your seller that's selling it, they're probably getting some sort of insurance proceeds, which is going to cover their loss. So when they go to sell the property, they can sell it at a deeper discount than the average person. So say the demo is going to cost $15,000 to clean the property and get it down to the slab. Hopefully the slab's okay. I don't know if it's on a slab or not. Okay. So if the average the average vacant lot is selling for $100,000, but you still got to clear the land, grade it, put in utilities. This one has utilities. You just got to take the $15,000 to clear it. Then the reality is the value of that lot should be about $85,000. You're not going to pay $85,000 a lot. A lot of times, if that seller is getting an insurance check, they're done. Listen, if they were in the house and they live there, it's a very traumatic experience. A lot of times they'll sell it to you 40, 50 grand, just cash it out and move me on. That leaves $35,000 to play with. You can make a $10,000 or $15,000 profit and leave money in it for the person to come in behind you. That buyer is going to say, listen, that's a much better deal than anything else I see on the market. It might be a really good location. Maybe it's a corner lot or something like that. And as long as you buy it below the ask price for a given vacant lot, and you leave money in it for people, people will take action all day long on it. Who doesn't like a good discount? Everybody likes a good discount. I do agree it does take a special person to buy those types of properties, but they're not as hard as you think to find. How do you find a cash buyer like that? You give them a great deal. If you have a great deal, they will come back and do it all the time. So let me see here. But it turns out. Oh, I see. Okay. I'm trying to get somebody I haven't asked here. Besides, okay. Let me keep going here. I'll read why I do it. So let's see here. Let me make some room. Okay. Matt, you there?
Hello?
Yes. How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing all right. How you doing?
Good, man. Where are you calling from?
I'm currently in Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn. How's the weather there?
It was actually a really beautiful day today.
Okay,
nice,
cool.
Nice New York weather today.
Cool, man. What can I help you out with?
Well, I was on the call with your son not too long ago, and
okay,
it was like about getting leads. Mm-hmm. And currently, I'm virtual doing it in Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay, good market.
So what Zach was telling me to do was pull the government list, right?
Okay.
Call the Shelby County Code Enforcement Office, which I did, and they were making me call a bunch of different people. I'm over here getting frustrated, like, yo, who do I have to talk to get the list?
Yeah.
For them to tell me that they don't have one. But yeah, so I'm kind of stumped on that, like getting leads and actually skip tracing the leads that I actually get. I do use True People Search, but for the majority of the time, I'll be getting like maybe five phone calls that go through out of like a list of 100.
So let's attack the first problem. So I'm getting these lists, the government list. We are not the only people out there looking for these lists. They're pounded by gurus. They're pounded by everyday investors. I get it. They're free lists and they're in high demand. They are the best lists because where there's smoke, there's fire. So here's what I teach everyone, and this, people put in the comments, this rings true. you are going to get resistance on these lists. Why? Because all government agencies have an employee hierarchy. Okay. So who gets the most crap, right? It's usually the person answering the phone or the person that comes in to the reception desk when they walk in. She probably gets that question. She could get it 50 times a day. And she goes up to her higher ups. How do I answer this question? People keep asking me for the code violation list. They're like, well, we need to discourage that because it's getting out of control and we don't want people to abuse the information. How do you want me to discourage them? Tell them we don't have that list. And they'll give them 3 or 4 excuses. Dude, I've literally talked to the girl at the counter that answers the phone. This is what they do. Okay. So you have to go into it expecting to get resistance. You're going to get it. Now, if you go in person, which I know is not ideal for you because you don't want to drive down to Memphis or get on a plane, I don't blame you. Going in person, your percentages of getting a list goes through the roof. People do not like to say no to people in person because if you're nice and you're very accommodating, they usually put their guard down all the time. Okay. I used to bring donuts. I would do, little tchotchke things and make it great. And then I would spend time just basically connecting with the person behind the counter. I look at pictures of their kids, see if there's a dog, anything like that. I see a fishing picture and I just connect with them. And that's how I get these lists. I'm telling you right now, Matt, you're going to get a lot of resistance. Now, when you go to the phone, the resistance is higher. If you go to email, you're probably not even going to get the email open with that kind of request. So to overcome any type of resistance, you have to have a massive amount of persistence. So on average, I'm giving you a life rule here. And I've learned this through many, many senseis, mentors, and people that I really trust in guiding me through life is if you can overcome any person's objection twice, they usually roll over and give you what you want. Okay. Here's the reality, Matt. The human nature is when somebody tells you can't get it, most Americans just comply with it. Okay, sorry to bother you. And you've got to go, hey, listen, you have to kill them with kindness and keep going back. They have a list, right, Matt? Like, if you have a code violation, there has to be a master list, right?
Here's the thing. Also, I got onto like another phone call with somebody and it said I had to like request for the list online. In order for me to do that, I had to be like a resident in Tennessee.
Well, that's a new one to me. So find somebody in Tennessee and have them help you out. Like you can have a realtor help you do that out. But the thing is, they're always going to come up with these ridiculous rules to make, because it's easy just to say, no, we have a rule. If you don't pass that rule, I can't move on with you.
Mm-hmm.
But listen, I'm looking to buy a house in Memphis, Tennessee. Without this information, I don't want to buy in areas that are problematic. And I'm doing some research. I thought, what better way than go to the code violation department to find out what the problem areas are, or maybe I can help out in these areas and help turn them around. You got to have logical excuses. If you're going to say, listen, no, I'm a wholesaler. I'm trying to gain these lists so I can make the most amount of money. They're going to like caller ID block you. Okay. So I get it. You're doing a virtual. This is the challenge. Remember, if this list is hard, it's good because there's not a lot of people that are going to run through all of these obstacles to get it done. You got to get used to this in wholesaling. You are going to have obstacles in front of you. It doesn't mean they're bad. You just got to get through them. You have to get through them. You don't have a choice. And if you try to get every government list, say there was 8 or 9 and you only get 2 or 3, well, you got 2 or 3. You can work on those and figure out how to attack the ones you get. Rarely do you get them all. Like I have challenges in my account. I can't get the utility cutoff for the water because some of the companies are private and you can't get that information. I'm not going to sit here and go, okay, I've tried every trick in the book. I can't get it. They have to be a public utility company. So kill people with kindness. When they give you an answer and go, I don't have that list. I know you personally might not have that list, but you guys have to have some sort of organization for this list. I'm trying to do some research on the area. How can I get this information? Isn't this public? Isn't this public information? And I try to walk them logically through it. If you were in person, it'd be a different story, Matt. I promise you. But you have to try to overcome their objections, and you have to do it in a charismatic way, and you have to be nice about it. If they think you're just trying to make a profit, they're going to try to shut you down. So understand 90% of the people call the list, they get shut down with one objection. No, we don't have the list. Okay, thank you. Have a nice day. You're going to keep going back and you're going to keep asking questions. You're eventually going to wear them down where they go, this Matt guy's not going away. I need to just like find a way to give him the list to get him off my back. And that's usually how I wind up getting lists. Did the list get harder over time? Yeah. Like in the beginning, everything was emailed to me, but I still had to make what we call office visits. So I used to take, I got a code violation from a particular city for 5 years with one box of donuts. I had her set up to send it to me every 60 days. She sent me that file and I got it as email. 5 years, I never touched it. Eventually it went away. And the rules and their policy changed, and now we have to trick them to try to get it. So you're going to get resistance on this stuff. I'd like to tell you, it's like if it was super easy, you're going to get 0 deals off these lists. These lists are where the most motivation is, and that's one of the reasons why they're the most challenging. The reasons why gurus won't tell you about these lists is because it's not their list, and they can't really make a profit of it because it doesn't come off of a piece of software. So, so try that technique of overcoming at least 2 objections to try to get what you want from people in life. And these lists, I tell everybody, they can tell you in the comments, you have to overcome resistance with persistence. Just keep on going. That's the only thing you can do. And by the way, you're never probably going to get every list. If you did, you hit it out of the park. But if you can get half that list just to get started, if you can just get one of them to get started, I love the code violation list. It is a public record. Okay. Anytime you're going to do public liens and stuff like that, they got to kind of put it out there. All you are with code violations is catching it before it goes out on public record to the entire world before they record it against the property. You're on a list. It would be the same as like a pre-foreclosure. That's why they're so valuable. So keep trying to get it and understand to get resistance. And sometimes they're just not going to give it to you. Unfortunately, they come up with like ridiculous policies. I had one recently where my employee had to sit down and meet with the city attorney. They wasted 45 minutes of our time doing that. Is that nuts?
Sheesh.
Like they keep doing it. So good news, bad news. The harder the list is, the better it is for you, but it's a real pain in the ass in the beginning. And that's just the truth. And the only thing is just overcome that resistance. Use that little trick I taught you. Overcome the ejection twice. And don't, other than kids though, kids are unlimited. They will come at you with 20 different obstacles because they don't understand how the world works. So they don't take no for an answer. So maybe we should all just be kids and have fun wholesaling because you get a lot more done. But as they get older, we all get conditioned. Right now, when people hit an obstacle in the United States, on average, most people just roll over. Like, okay, whatever, moving on. So just be that type of person who goes, you know what? I know you're doing your job, but in a perfect world, somebody has to organize these case files. How would a taxpayer citizen like me be able to access information so I can do research to understand your city better? See, that's better than just saying, just give me the list. Give me the list. Give me the list. And dude, we hit this all the time, man. You guys, we fight this in our business on a monthly basis. I'm telling you. And then sometimes an employee switches and we have to do it all over again, or the city attorney changes the policy. We have one county, we have to fill out 4 pages of paperwork every time we want the list. It's ridiculous.
So it's all about asking the question correctly, right?
Yeah.
Like,
listen, virtually is really, people love it because it's so sexy because you can pick whatever market you have. So I get it. You're in New York. That's a challenging place. I think you're with the right idea. The challenge with virtual is you're not local, so you don't have that local connection. You can't just physically drive up to their office and make a physical request. So you're going to have to think outside the box. So when they tell you, hey, you have to be a citizen residing in our city to get that information, that doesn't mean no. You just got to figure a way how to get through that obstacle, either connecting with a family friend, paying someone to do it, whatever. Like, you could technically go find someone in Fiverr, go, listen, the requirement is you got to reside in Memphis, Tennessee for me to get this job done. And I'll pay you $20 if you can give me that list. I've done crazy stuff, man. Like whatever it takes. So you just got to like think outside the box, because wholesaling is not There is no yes, no box. I'm just telling you, that's what drives people nuts in this business. You have to be able to just keep pushing that accelerator. You're not hurting anyone. You just want to get the list. Let me ask you, whose life's going to be changed by giving you that list? It ain't going to hurt her
Nah,
or
not at all.
him that's giving it to you. So they're just doing their job. And if you've ever had a job where you had to follow your boss, you have to respect them. And you go, listen, Candy, I get it. Like, that's a terrible name. I shouldn't use that. How can I get that list and not get you in trouble? I'm just trying to do the right thing. I want to do some research, and instead of me going door to door knocking, which I'm pretty sure is illegal in your city, you could just say that.
Mm-hmm.
How can I facilitate? I don't want to keep calling him bugging you. And she's going to go, okay, at least he's looking. Honestly, you have to look at it. What's in it for that person that you're talking to? So I had once, and I've had this done this recently. I just show an employee. They wouldn't give me the list. And I showed the employee, I go, take me over to the office that you're doing. This was local, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so he goes, every time I come here, she tells me to go over there in the waiting room and sit. I go, no, don't ever do that. I want you to go sit where you have them in a line of sight and just stare at them the entire time. Nicely, not like stalker stare, just, hey, am I next? In 10 minutes, she's like, okay, I'm sick of this crap. You guys aren't going anywhere. What do we need to do to get this done? The difference was my employee was going into the waiting room where they never saw him again, and they'd sit there for 3 hours. I'm like, you can't sit there 3 hours waiting for a list. He goes, you told me to do whatever it took. I go, that's not effective. You got to rethink this.
Mm-hmm.
You ever had somebody stare at you while you wait for something? It's horribly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And all you want to do is get rid of them. So I'm just trying to give you ideas, Matt. Like, you're going to have to think through this a little bit and just think outside the box. And you're going to have some successes. You're going to have some losses, and just keep coming back to it until you get what you want.
All right.
With the True People Search, I can't change that. It's a piece of software. It is what it is. When you get a list big enough and you make some profits, you can switch over to some paid services. But, it's not perfect. It is a solution without using a paid service, and it's going to have its ups and downs. Sometimes it's remarkable, and sometimes it's very hit or miss. We used it when we first started, when we didn't know what we were doing on skip tracing. That was years ago. So there's other services out there. That's not the only one. There are some services you can pay, like mild subscriptions, $10-20 a month. And it's a step up from True People Search, but dude, there's like hundreds of them like that. So I'm not going to give you. Back in the day, I used to use Spokio. That's how old I am.
Mm-hmm.
Used to pay like $10 a month, and boy, it was dynamite. And then things got more advanced. So there's a White Pages, White Pages Search, something like that. It's like the Yellow Pages, White Pages. Now I'm really showing my age, aren't I, Matt? It's bad. So just check that stuff out. But like, your problem is not unique to you. Like, everybody has it. So you picked a virtual market. I get why you're doing it. Just understand you're going to have challenges. So I apologize. Nobody told you that going up, but now you know what some of your challenges, they're not going to go away. They're just going to build. And long as you keep overcoming them and get through them, it's never perfect. Like, if I ask for 4 lists and I get 1 or 2, I'm like, okay, we got 1 or 2. Let's attack that list. And then it may take me a month or 2 to figure out how to get this list. But I always get them. Unless they flat out in a private company, I can't get it. That's the only time I don't get help.
All right.
I'm sorry, you kind of get it. Like, it's a pain in the butt for me and my company. So you had a different expectation. So now you know what to do. Overcome it. Just go through it, overcome it twice, and sweet talk them, and find out the person on the phone what's in it for them. Go, listen, if you give it to me, I'll stop bugging you. I promise you. So stuff like that will help you out a lot. So just keep at it. How do you overcome resistance, Matt?
Just keep on going after it. Persistence.
That's it. It's like, and honestly, that's how life works. So and by the way, sometimes it just doesn't work out. It's okay. You got to fight the battle until somebody Now, when they hang up with me on stuff, that's when I'll go to their boss or do like a FOIA request. But try every path you can that you can be nice to people. Like, being nasty and mean to people get you nothing. So,
all right. Thank you.
Okay, Matt. Let me know how it works out. Okay, cool. Okay. So Aaron says, I really want to start on real estate in Louisiana. That's awesome. Do me a favor. Go over to freewholesaling.com. Jump on that. Get that started. And just the main thing is, people are like, how do I get started? Just like, do it. Go over to freewholesaling.com. Jump on the lives. Connect with people in the comments. There's so many like high quality people in these comments. I couldn't even tell you. It's ridiculous. So here's one. Kaylin's like right here. Kaylin's getting hammered on the phones. Probably cold calling while they're watching the live. I love this type of attitude. 834 dials, and I haven't had one yes. Hey, welcome to the club. So here's the deal. Some days are better than others. I love when people go, Rick, how many phone calls I got to make before I get a yes? Dude, you understand how many variables go in that type of question? My question is, how many no's are you willing to take to get a yes? And you go, listen, I'll just keep going until I get a yes. That's the answer. But Kaylin, hang in there. I feel you, but listen, I think you're pretty close to a yes. So keep doing what you're doing. So I love it. Fume says you're a warrior. White pages. Okay, let's bring on our next one here. What are we talking about? We're talking about practice. Okay. Let's see. Who do we have here? Lance, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Good. Where are you calling from?
Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Allentown.
Yeah.
You're going to make me sing that song now, aren't you? You got it in my head.
I have no idea what song you're talking about.
Isn't that like a famous Billy Joel song, Living in Allentown? You ever heard that?
No idea. No,
You
I
don't
haven't
want
heard
me
of it.
singing, Alan, because I'm sorry. You don't want me singing, Lance, because it's going to get ugly. So, guys, tell me I'm not crazy. I know I'm showing my age by talking about Allentown. I believe it's a 70 or 80 song by Billy Joel. But see, now you're going to go look it up when you're done with the live. But what can I help you out with?
All right, so I pulled the Lehigh County's probate list. It's just it doesn't have any like property addresses on it or any phone numbers. Like, how would I go about that? Do I need to just put the names in True People Search?
Okay. So if you're just getting started out on probates, which I assume you are.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got the list. So did you get it in person or did you get it online?
I got it in person.
Okay. So let me give you a couple pointers here. If you go down in person, you're going to take the time to go down to the courthouse. Was it easier than you thought or harder?
It was easier than I thought.
Okay. Did you talk to the person at the probate court to try to get like some basic instruction information?
No, I did not.
So now you're guilty of what we do as men, and men hate asking people for directions or questions.
Okay.
God knows, did you talk to my wife? She's like, man, she goes, you could be on fire and you won't ask someone else for a bucket of water. I go, unfortunately, I think it's almost programmed in men not to ask questions. So I want you to go back to the court. These are awesome. So some of your questions, the male or the lady at the probate counter, they will answer like 80, 90% of your question. Like they're bored out of their mind sitting there filing papers. I go,
Okay,
listen, can I ask you a question? How would I find out if the person has a piece of real estate stuff? I know that's a ridiculous question. You might as well ask, because sometimes they go, oh, there'll be a symbol on here saying they own a single family house. I'm like, oh, wow. Like I have found so much out from the court that sometimes it can take you months, if not a year, to figure out codes on these dockets and stuff like that. So the only dumb question you have is the one you don't ask them. Remember, they look at these documents 5 days a week. They get sick of it. Okay. They've heard every question. They know more than most of the lawyers and judges, the people working in these departments. So use them. Sometimes they won't give you the information, but for the most part, their job's paid with the taxes and they understand that, and they will be very helpful with you. So the problem is 3,500 different counties. Every county has a different process. I have 2 counties back to back within 10 miles of each other. It's completely different in the state of Florida. The law is still the same, but how you get the information on the docket is completely different. It's ridiculous. It is favored for access to attorneys, paralegals, and judges, not you and me. So you got to find ways to get through it. Now, once you have the docket, if I had to take a docket and do it raw, so that's number one. The second one is talk to your title company. They're very familiar with how probates work because they have to read these petitions all the time to run title for you and me to be able to buy these probate properties. The third one is usually going to be an attorney that's associated with the title company. And of those three, and in that exact order, is how you can get 90% of the knowledge you need. I'm just like, I want you to get it straight from the horse's mouth, because some people will take one probate. They go, this is how all probates work. I'm like, I don't know. Did they die with a will? Did they die without a will?
Actually, the list that I got, it's 29 pages. It has the case number, the style, the case type, the judicial officer, and the status of the probate.
Okay.
So those are the only things on the document.
So I'm just telling you, that little trip to your probate courts, it'll be worth a lot of money to you, because number one, it's free. And number two, they're going to give you quick little shortcuts on how to find stuff. They do it all the time. Like, hey, that's a code. That means there might be real estate involved. The reality is, the probates, less than 50% of them, people actually have real estate in them. Some people just do it for checking accounts, basics, like a car title and stuff like that. So like you go, oh, here's 29 leads. No, there might be like 5 or 10 in there. Okay. The worst case scenario you can do is you can take the deceased person's name. Hopefully it's on that docket, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you can cross-reference to the property appraiser's office for that correlating county. A little time consuming, but remember, if it's only like 29 or 30, you could do it. You could hire a VA to do it. You could pay someone, a quarter a name to do it. Like it's a very monotonous task to do. But look for any shortcut.
It's like 29 pages of maybe 20 probates per page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at the beginning, do it once yourself to see what it takes and how much time it takes. So if you have to hire someone, that's an easy task for a VA to do. That's a $3 to $4 an hour task. And if on average it takes them 2 to 3 hours to do that whole list, and you only got to do it once or twice a month, it might cost you $50 to sort them out. Who cares, right? Like, figure out what your time's worth when you do this stuff, guys. But try to use the current court system to help you sort through like data. And like there's some counties that are unbelievable. Like they put the property and everything on there and they tell you everything you need. Florida's not one of those counties. We have to work for it in Florida. It's a pain in the butt.
Yeah, what I was thinking about doing is putting in the person that is deceased on True People Search, and then taking their phone numbers and trying to call them and seeing if there was a property that they owned and checking it on PropStream or something like that.
Correct. But so when I get down to it, when it comes to probates, you can use PropStream and Batch as your backup. I would go straight to the county records to get the most up-to-date file you can possibly get, so you can make it work. Like, because you gotta understand, like these software companies, they're dynamite. They make our lives much easier, but you've got to understand they do take time to populate this information. They could be running a week or two behind, or as many as 60 or 90 days. It just depends on, there's so many variables, when did they record it? It's not the software company's fault, but you got to get information there. So if you get information that's 30 or 60 days behind, you could be misled like very quickly. So here's the really cool part is once you figure out how to do the probates, like once then you have your system set, and then you can easily leverage it and move forward. And then if you want to take on another county, you got to start from scratch all over again. I know the statutes are going to be same in that state, but like the county's going to have different rules. One county, you got to go physically pull them. The other county, you can get them online. It's ridiculous how it works.
Yeah. So
you got to find the system. So if I had to spend 3 days with you, I go, okay, here, we're going to the court first. Then we're going to go see the title company. And then we're going to find a probate lawyer. And by the end of it, you're going to have a game plan. We know exactly how we're going to do it. And then here's how we're going to sort the information. You decide if you're going to do the sweat equity position. If you don't have a lot of money and you got to sort it yourself, suck it up and figure out how much time it takes to do that. So when you go to pay someone and they go, well, that took me 10 hours. I go, that's funny. It took me 2 hours and I'm not very good. Like, we're not doing that. And you just tell them, hey, this is what I'm going to pay to do it. And that's when I go, okay, listen, we'll pay 20 cents for every lead you convert and you find. And you just figure out what the average is, how many you do a month. And after 3 or 4 months, you'll find a pattern and you'll put the damn thing to bed after that. It's actually, they don't change a lot once you figure out how to do it. So does that help?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So it's, Listen, some counties just make it easier. Some states make it easier. I don't have a cheat sheet for which one does what. And for that reason, do the process. Go to the probate court, go to your title company, then go to a probate attorney and work it in that. Some of you guys like to go see the probate attorney. You get surprised when you get a $500 bill. You can't waste people's time. So do it in the order, because you're going to get more educated as you go along. And the more educated you get, the more they know you're serious about what you're doing. And then you can help people out. If you go see the lawyer first and you know nothing about probates, they're going to know it. And they're going to want you out of their office so fast. And you're probably going to ruin a potentially great relationship because you didn't take the time to do your homework. So don't forget to do that. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Okay, man. Good luck with everything. Awesome. Okay. Let's see here. Sally, you there?
Hi, Rick. I'm here. Hi. How are you?
Good. How are you? Where are you calling from?
Well, very near you, West Palm.
Ah, I think I see you right down the street, right?
Yeah.
How you doing? What
Okay.
can I help you
I'm,
out with?
I'm great. Thank you. I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
Okay. I'll try to make it very quick because other people may need
It's
your
okay.
time. So, okay. So I basically pulled the probate from online, and
Uh,
it has, well, all the information that I guess it can give us. So the personal representative, the name of the personal representative, and deceased, and then I put that information in the property appraiser website, and I get the property, and that's how I try to find whether the property is there or not.
Okay.
So, is going to the courthouse, I mean, do I get any more information going to the courthouse? I'm asking this because I know you have been doing it
Yeah.
and
So
going on.
the difference is when you go to the courthouse, like you got to understand, like these are those people's jobs. They read these
Mhm,
dockets all day long.
mhm,
They know how many cases there are. Like they know the flow of probates. Some of those employees have been there like 10 years. I've had employees sit there and give me the keys to like the car. They're like, okay, we average 200 probates a month. Like, oh, you know how long it would take you to figure that out? Like it would take you years to figure out what the average probates, because you got to run the numbers. And then they're going to tell you, this is how we file them. This is how you get the information. And then I ask stupid questions like, how do I know a probate has a piece of real estate in there? Is there anything that would help me find it in this docket? I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a paralegal. And they're like, yeah, just look in the codes, in the case number. Sometimes it has this in it. It's like you find out all this stuff. Like it's ridiculous. Like I'm not a lawyer. Like I don't know all this stuff. So if you're missing huge pieces and you can't sort it out together, sometimes it's like the field trip. So when you got in school and you went down to like the local like community theater, you ask a ton of questions. This is how it works. This is how we do props. And at the end you go, oh wow, I didn't understand it. This is how it worked. A lot of us assume someone's sitting behind a desk and computer spits these leads out and that's it. There is a process that goes through this thing, and you've got
okay,
to understand it. So if you
okay,
feel it would make you better educated, then by all means do it, because the more educated you are, the more confident you come. And remember, you have to pitch sellers this. If they say, hey, Sally, listen, I got this letter from you. It says you can buy my house and cut through the red tape of probates. How are you going to do that? If you don't have a confident answer, your confidence is going to be shot, and they're going to question if you're even a good person to buy their house. So the more you understand this process, the better you're going to know. If you can do it with a phone call, you can do it online. If you can read the statutes, some people can get away with it. I'm like a spoiled child. I want to be spoon-fed and have someone like it's an expert in that field to read it right off to me. So a lawyer would be perfect, but they're expensive, and their egos are too big to explain it to you without you writing them a huge check. So the next one is if you can go to a state-sponsored, city or county-sponsored employee that's already on the payroll that you're actually paying, they will take the time as long as you respect them, and they will explain it to you. So if you think that's going to help, knock it out of the park. If you don't think it's going to help, don't do it. It's up to you. It's like an individual decision you have to make.
Okay, perfect. Another question that I have is I pulled the list. I'm actually like making an Excel, and there are a couple of cases with a formal administration. But with that, I believe yesterday or a couple of days ago, I heard that formal administration take probates in formal administration takes long time. So is it
Okay. So
worth? Okay.
So this part right here ties into your first question. So if you go down to the courthouse and ask about the different types of filings, they'll explain to you what the criteria versus a formal versus an informal. Now, I could go into extreme depth here in Florida because I've done every type, but I'm going to bore the heck out of my audience by doing it. So, like in Florida, you can do a summary administration, which was where you want to be as a wholesaler. It means they're going to a summary administration is just means they're basically taking the property out of probate because it's usually like a husband and wife, and they just got to get the deceased person's name off that deed. As long as they have a homestead exemption, the lawyer can file it and pull it out. It's called a summary administration. And you need to learn those as quick as you can in Florida because they are golden. But every state has all these little nuances. Listen, a formal just means they have much bigger assets and they're well over the threshold of whatever it is. Some states are 500, 700,000. Maybe they got a $2 million house and they got millions of dollars in checking accounts and stocks. But the odds of you and me buying that property are probably slim to none because they're going to go through brokers and agents and appraisals. And that doesn't work out very well when we're talking about wholesaling. So you do need to understand what the thresholds for a formal administration versus an informal, a summary administration. So the best way to get that information without going on 2 hours so then I got to do it 3,500 times because that's how many counties there are. I strongly suggest you go down to your probate court and ask these questions directly. It's going to help give you a great education. But I don't deal with a lot of formal ones because I'm looking at houses at the median price or below. The high-end houses, they typically are going to go on they're going to go on the market. And I don't want to be the highest bidder ever. And I don't want to compete with a real estate agent. So I avoid those types. But it's up to you. You got to figure it out. I would go down to the probate court and they will like explain the whole thing to you.
Okay.
I don't want to do it to you because you need to learn the process.
Right.
Because this doesn't hold true for every state. So I don't want to steer people in the wrong direction. So,
right. Okay. Okay. Thank you. And one last question.
Okay.
So, as you know, because you have been doing it in South Florida. So South Florida, houses in South Florida there have HOA. So do you recommend like keeping those houses which are on HOA out of your list while you're wholesaling?
So trying in the perfect world, yes, I would avoid every house I could in an HOA. The reality is HOAs are one of the biggest problems with people being able to afford their houses. Okay. Do you know an HOA has almost more power than the bank? It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. They have such a supreme. So remember, once again, I'm talking about Florida. I don't mean to bore you guys, but Florida HOAs have the power to foreclose very quickly with no equity, no nothing in the deal. It's absolutely nuts. So you just and then they have ridiculous rules you have to follow. So an HOA, just so you guys know, they own and control the land the property is owned on. So you can't get around them. You can't work them. Some of them have like ridiculous restrictions. So you just got to find out what the rules of the HOA and make sure there's no deed restriction requirements. But honestly, I just bought a place that had like a $26,000 lien from the HOA. Some of my biggest liens come from HOAs because they're so predominant in the state of Florida. It's hard to buy a new property without an HOA. Actually, I don't even think it's almost impossible unless you're building on a custom house on a custom piece of land. So I just avoid the difficult Now, when you get into condos and townhomes in HOA, they're a nightmare. They're a complete. That's where they take complete control. You can't resell for 1 year. You can't rent for 2 years. Stuff like that. I run like it's just a pain in the butt. So you'll find out the ones that are a complete nightmare, and you'll just stay away from them. The ones that just take forever to get approved and stuff like that. But people get into HOAs and they can't afford it. And that's why people have to get rid of their properties a lot of times. So Listen, I would just make sure you avoid condos with them. They're very, very sketchy in Palm Beach. I'm just here to tell you. I deal with them all day long, and I have to hire attorneys to get through it. I have to build it into my numbers, and I have to buy them much cheaper. So I just went on a 9-month fight with a condo association in Southern Palm Beach, and I won, but it cost me $7,000. It's ridiculous. So that's the problem with it. They know you're going to spend money on an attorney. The typical person doesn't want to spend money. Now, I made a lot of money on it. Don't get me wrong, but I had a huge spread. But I knew what they were doing was illegal, and they tried to tell me that a corporation is not allowed to buy in their community.
Okay.
I just looked up. There's 7 owned corporate homes here. So unless you're going to expel all of them, I'm buying this house. And so in the beginning, I tell everyone try to stay away from them because it's one less thing you got to deal with. But, listen, sometimes motivation comes from people can't afford houses and HOAs. Motivation does not discriminate if you own an HOA or not. So HOAs are a pain in the butt. You got to fill out paperwork. You got to pay dues, and they always get paid first at closing. So you just got to make that personal choice. A lot of Palm Beach has HOAs, so they're kind of hard to avoid, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I figured out. Okay,
Okay.
perfect. Thank you. Thank you for
Okay.
answering all the
Awesome, Sally.
questions.
Okay.
You guys
I'll
are
see
the
you.
best.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Cole, you there?
Yeah, man. Actually, first off, you're a godsend. I love you and your son so much.
Well, wait. I didn't pay you to say that, did I?
Oh, you want me to?
No. So what's going on, man?
Yeah. So initially, I had some questions about probate, but I'm up in Seminole County, so I don't know where there's a probate clerk up here. Are they? Because
They have to be in they're in every county by law. Like there's no way around it.
Oh, okay. So I'm probably
wherever you have a public courthouse, where the criminal is, the civil, they're going to have a probate department. Like you just Google it up and you can look it up.
So was I at the wrong? Because we have like 3 courthouses in Seminole County or something. So was I at the wrong?
It's all over the place, man. It's weird how they do. So sometimes you can have federal courthouses, you can have county courthouses. Dude, I'm not a lawyer. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
Wherever the criminal and the civil is, it's usually all in the same building. So just look up the probate court and you can Google it and it'll give you an address and you can kind of put 2 and 2 together. So
yeah,
all you want to do is concentrate on the probate court. And the crazy thing is, dude, you got to go through a metal detector, get patted down just to even go see these people.
Yeah, I went there. I went there and I went on the computer and I started scrolling. I'm like, I don't understand this, man. Like,
well, you know what the funny thing is? You know what's even tighter than going to the courthouse these days? Go to your Department of Revenue for your state. You're going to think you walked in a prison cell. My God, the whole thing is covered in bulletproof glass everywhere. And like you got to be buzzed in. Like it's just, and this is well before the pandemic. So I'm just like, you get a lot of people pissed off in here. Like people go nuts, man. Remember, you got a lot of small businesses that collect that tax revenue and then they hit hard times. They don't give the state their money. And most states, by the way, when you sign your agreement for the collect taxes, especially sales tax, if you don't pay on time your monthly, they could just take they'll lock down and put a lien on your business accounts, and they can go after your personal accounts. So what happened? I had this happen to me once a long time ago. They just locked up all my money. They're like, we're just taking it. So I had to go to the courthouse. I had to go down there. I was a little upset. It was only like $3,500. I'm like, what happened? They're like, you missed a payment. I go, I didn't. I sent it. It was just a mistake. It went to the wrong account. But they're like, step away from the door, step back, or we're going to get security. And I guess a lot of people go really dark in these places. So it's just funny, all the stuff you have to go through now. I remember 20 years, 15, 20 years, you didn't have to do any of this stuff. But don't get me started on airplanes. My God. It's like, honestly, it's almost easier to walk somewhere than take an airplane anymore. It's like, I look around, I'm just like, my God, like, this is crazy. Like,
so, I'm not going to mention something that just happened 5 days ago in a comedian skit that just happened.
What's that?
There was just a comedian that did a skit on 9/11, and they just said the same thing. They were like, oh man, airplanes.
I mean, you got to really want it to get on like an airplane, because I really look at it. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, And like, I don't like you guys, but like every time I go through security, it's like, sometimes they take the shoe on. You got to take your laptop out of the back pocket. You got to put your phone in there. I had one tell me like, I had a lot of cash in my pocket. I'm like, do you understand my reservation, pulling the cash and putting it in the counter? Like, no, you got to put the cash in that container. I'm like, man, I really don't want to do that. Can I just hold it in my hand and walk through it? I had a good friend of mine. He got his iPhone, his cash, and his wallet stolen, all going through Miami Security Airport. They caught the TSA employee, but I'm just like telling you guys, like, it's very tempting if somebody wants to do something bad because everything you got is right there. Your computer, your laptop, your phone, your wallet, like your passport, like you're in big trouble if that stuff goes away. Yeah. He was actually flying out of the country, got it all taken away. You want to talk about a nightmare in your life. So, anyways, what else can I help you out with, man? You just got to find that probate.
Yeah, so I had that probate question, but there was someone in the chat named Joel who was kind of, and I was curious about this too when I was going through freewholesaling.com.
Okay.
As far as the closing steps in the negotiation, can we do a role play where you're the wholesaler and I'm like the seller? As far as like when you get to the negotiation piece?
I could do it. So what specifically do you want to like target on it though? Because it's
like after post price, like trying to get price.
So here's the challenge with it, because I only have so much time, and I'd like to do this a little bit more time. Every probate person's so freaking different. I can't even tell you. That's why I tell you 5 or 6 touches before you kind of get a deal, because you got to get all the intel. You got to get past the awkward phase, and you got to get to it. At the end of the day, like, you have to understand this, Cole. You can't make people sell you your house.
Of course.
You can only comfort them, speak with confidence, and try to solve their problems, and just create a win-win situation. For this reason, I'm not going to do it just because if we want to do it Thursday or Friday, I do it from the beginning. I'm fine to do it, because you got to do 3 or 4 role plays to understand how this works. People are super sensitive with probates. They're either all business or they're highly emotional. Highly emotional is the predominant you're going to get to it. So if you know every other investor and realtor is trying to shove something down their mouth, do the opposite. Okay. The minute I identify a probate property, because I think everybody in probate's motivated, by the way. Okay. I try to key on the motivation of the property. What do I mean by that? Does the property need work? Is it vacant? Are you in another state? Once I know that, I'm 80% sure I'm going to buy that property, unless they come up with some ridiculous price. And you just have to massage and keep working through it. The main thing is you're constant in contact. Somebody takes a look at the property and you get down to it. I go, listen, what were you? And I just get down to it at the very, once I have established a rapport, I've had them put their guard down, and like, they understand. If they understand a probate, you have to create a win-win situation. They understand. What does the word win-win mean into when I say that to you? Like, if you're a seller, I go, listen, Cole, listen, I would love to buy that property. Like, I get everything you're telling with me, and I'm being sensitive with the family, but keep in mind, we have to create a win-win situation. I get a lot of people go, what does that mean, Rick?
I mean, give them what they need, give them what you want.
Yeah. Well, listen, in a perfect world, I'd love to pay you $1 million, but like, I think it's only going to work out for you. Would you agree? I go, yeah, I get it. And they'll go, I get it. You've got to have something in there for you. I go, bingo. That's all I'm looking to recognize. And I go, okay, here's the issues we have with the property. And then I'll just take the negotiations. I go, listen, Cole, what do you think you need to get to make this work? And I just shut up. And you're either going to answer me or you're not. I'm like, well, I don't know. You're the professional, right? They do that to you. And you go, Joel, listen, I get it. I know you don't exactly reside in the property and you're dealing with this, but if you had to guess like a ballpark figure to create a win-win situation, what's the number that would make you feel comfortable that we can move forward? And shut up again. And then they might throw a number and you're like, maybe they throw out like 200 and you go, listen, dude, you're thinking in your head, I can't do more than $150, $160. Like, and go, listen, I would love to pay you that price. Here's the issue. The roof's 22 years old. The AC, I tried to turn it on. It doesn't work at all. I think the Freon's leaking out of it. It looks like it's so old, I couldn't even read the date on it. There's shag carpeting in it. And then they'll usually listen, I get it. Like it's my mom's house. Like and I get that. We need to find a number that we can just sell it as is so you don't have to fix it up. Are you interested in fixing up the property? I can get you estimates to get it fixed up. I'm going to walk them through all those phases because at the end, you want to say, you know what? I'd rather just take the cash offer. I understand I'm giving you a little better price in exchange for speed, convenience, and dignity. And that's all I do at the end of every probate. And some of them come to it real fast. Some of them bite me all the way through it. You can't make them probate. You will never force someone to sell in probate. If you try to do it, you're literally just waste your time. They have to come to it. And every conversations, I'm working them to get them closer to get to an offer. And then sometimes in probate, you got to give them the offer, and half of them want to give it to an attorney to review. And for that reason, you have to use like your state approved contracts that get past the attorney snuff stage, which is a pain in the ass. Okay. Probates are different than typical offers. You have to take your time with people.
Mm-hmm.
A motivated seller that's not in probate, I can convince them to take my offer. I've never convinced a probate ever. You just have to have the logic. They go, okay, I get it. I get it. The one that wants to sell probate based on price alone, they are not a lead. They're just a prospect, and just you got to leave them there until they turn into a lead. Does that help? Do you understand that process? It's like,
Yeah.
that's why I never push probates, because everybody else pushes them. And when probates, when they go, listen, when you hear words like this, ready? Cole, I'm comfortable with you. You've done everything you've said. We just need to come to a fair price. Dude, that deal's mine. Like,
Yeah,
it's over. Okay. You got to hear comments like that before you kind of go at the throat. And I know that's a terrible analogy, but I take my time on every probate, man. I've never beat a probate on speed. Every now and then a guy goes, listen, I go, what do you need to get for it? He goes, give me $100,000. I go, okay. It's happened like twice. And that was a guy out of Jersey selling it over the phone. He goes, I'll make him one phone call. Whoever answers it's done. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
Well, to do this fairly, we'd have to attack this 3 or 4 times. I give you 4 different variations. You'd be like, holy crap. So it's not uncommon to have a dozen conversations with somebody in probate all the time. So
is that like that with sellers as well?
What's that?
Like is that like that with normal sellers as well?
No. Probate is much longer. Probate's longer, dude. Like, think about it. Somebody died. Like,
yeah,
you got to have them go through their process. Everyone goes, dude. I have people. I've had a guy. I have a property guy waited 10 years to do with a probate. He just couldn't deal with it. And if you've ever had somebody die, the first year sucks. Like, it sucks. I've been through this. Right? It's like the last thing you think of, like the selling the property is not going to solve your emotional hole in your heart. So you just have to like be there for them. And like, I've had people cry on me. I can't do this right now. I can't close on it. I'm like, okay. And in the beginning, I pushed so hard and I pissed off so many people. I'm like, okay, I mean, I get it. Like, you got to be a real freaking human to do this. You've got to have a heart and help people out. So if you can do that, you'll do phenomenal with probates. I'm just telling you, they just take longer. Let them do 80% of the talking. You do 20% of guiding them on questions. And then when they start saying words like, Joel, I'm comfortable with you, I like what you're saying, that's when you go in and get it done. If you don't set them up before that, then you're just another bidder on the property and you're never going to win that war. They want the person that's most in compassion, that's going to give them convenience. Speed's not as big of a deal for probates, by the way, for obvious reasons. And they want to know who's going to be super nice and respect the person that passed away. And that's the reason why I do so well at probates. You have to let them talk till they just turn blue in the face. There's no VA in the world that's going to do that for you. I'm sorry. I tried it. Do not outsource your probates to VAs.
Oh, really?
I'm just telling you. If you want to have them gather information, but you have to have a personal touch on that phone call. And remember, once again, I'm summing this up, is because you are having quality conversations and you are connecting people and you're building rapport and you're qualifying them, is why you get great deals. If you want to line up 100 probates and have a VA rip through them, if you get one, I'm in shock. It's just, it
just won't happen.
Yeah, they run you over. So, make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense, man.
Probates are just slower. Then the other ones I want you to go faster on. Don't get me wrong, but probates, you just slow down. You guys, you don't get thousands of probate leads. You get maybe 30 or 50 in a month. You get 1 or 2 calls. You got to make it count. Make it count. You only get 1 or 2 calls. So who cares if you spend 20 or 30 minutes with them? You got a shot. If they don't call you, you don't have a shot. Don't worry about it. Okay. Make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, dude, I'm wrapping this up. I'm past my 2-hour limit that I'm allotted to talk to you guys. So I'll be back on Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern time, and Zach will be on Sunday. And if you guys need to get a hold of me, you guys can reach me on Facebook, Wholesaling Houses for Real. Guys, do me a favor. Go over to my YouTube channel, Rick Ginn. Subscribe there. I release brand new content that I don't release on this channel. The idea is if you want to hear the old man talking about his experiences and some stuff outside of real estate, I talk about it. My son has a channel too. Go over to Zach Ginn, check it out. And that's about it, guys. Go out and get some deals. Have fun. And guys, remember, quality conversations will always trump quantity. Learn how to have quality conversations, connect with people, build rapport.